It's 7:10 on Wednesday the 26th of September, and here I am at Carmarthen railway station to catch the 7:05 train, which I've just been informed is running half an hour late, which is a bit of a shame because I've virtually sprinted all the way from the campsite to here. I jogged most of the way because I've never walked this distance before, didn't know where the railway station was, and I was cutting it fine a little bit, so I got here a little bit breathless, and then to find I've got a half-hour wait for the train. But that's the way life is. Today, hope it's not a bad omen really, because today is very much a finger in the wind. I'm heading for a place called Llansteffan, which is across this wide estuary. I will find out the name of the river. I've only got it in Welsh, so I won't even try and pronounce it. But I was told not long ago that the Llan, which you might remember I walked through on Monday, where there's the big old castle, that there's a ferry service that runs across the estuary to Ferryside, which is one of the stations that I'll be passing through from here to Carmarthen. And Carmarthen is at the sort of head of this estuary, and you can get across the river there. It's quite a wide river, which I'll show you later. And I'm told, reliably informed, that there is now a ferry that runs across from Llan to Ferryside, and it costs £8, and to me that'll be worth every penny because it'll save me probably about a 15-mile walk. Not doing it on a canoe anymore, but a ferry across the river would be very useful, and it would save me a day of walking. And that would come in useful because of my situation yesterday. I did plan to do this walk yesterday, but as you know, I had problems with my phone, which I had to go to Swansea yesterday, but I got it fixed and everything's okay now. And it gave me a day also to do some editing, which I finished, posted it onto YouTube last night, and I hope you enjoyed it. A lot of people commented that it was nice to see me back after 6 days off because of the storms over the past week. And I am glad to be back, and I'm feeling raring to go again this morning. There's not going to be many hills. I'm walking alongside a wide river. The scenery might be a little bit mundane, but nevertheless it's part of the Coastal Path walk. And so I'm looking forward to get this stretch done, and then I'm heading then down the railway line, catching a train from Carmarthen, which is where I am now, staying on the campsite, which is probably about 1.5 miles away, and then I can work my way down to Kidwelly, then to Llansteffan, and then from Gower town I'll be able to walk around the Gower Peninsula, which should take me 2 days. So I'm still on target for reaching Swansea at the weekend. And that's it. I can't keep on talking until the train comes, even though you probably think I can. So I'm just waiting for the train now to take me to Carmarthen. here I am outside the village store in Llansteffan, and I bumped into exactly the right gentleman to ask some questions of, because I'd heard this morning when I was on the railway station that there was a ferry that ran across the river, across to Ferry Town, which is on the railway line from Carmarthen down to Carmarthen, which is where I'm staying at the moment with my camper van. And I bumped into this gentleman, David. So David, tell me a little bit about the ferry, and I understand it's a fairly new thing, isn't it?
Yes, well, there was a ferry for a very long time, which finished about 1960 because of the competition of the bus. And people had to wade in to get it, even though we had a very long pier at this side.
Yes.
Because the configuration of our beach this side, it needs a very long pier.
Yes.
So when a professor from Liverpool, who is a native of Ferryside, was whiling away his time on the train coming down from Liverpool, he saw that there was a grant for coastal communities.
Wow.
And he put two and two together. Everyone's been talking about, we must get the ferry back.
Yes.
But he grasped it and presented a case, and we discovered that, of course, because of the sloping nature of the beach on this side, that we would have to build a huge pier.
Yes.
But in fact, what we've done is get an amphibious vehicle, a very special amphibious vehicle. It has wheels that lower like an aircraft. It's not a heavy great duck, which is a lorry that can sort of wade, as it were.
So it's got very shallow sort of shallow draft kind of thing. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. This is a proper outboard motor, aluminium boat that with two huge outboards on. So once it's on the sea, if the wind is not right or whatever, and the tide, it can really cut through it. But it lowers its wheels to go ashore.
Ah, well, that's brilliant. And is it being well used?
Yes, it is now. It's just in its sort of early phases because, of course, it's a prototype, really, because the wheels had to come from New Zealand, a special thing called sea legs, and it's had to be extensively trialled, as it were.
Yes.
And even though it's now in service, it's still, to some extent, in the trial phase.
Ah, right. Oh, well, that's very interesting.
But you will see from the notice board here that it's running a regular service, and we intend to carry on until the end of October at the very least.
Wow.
We'll be running it over Christmas.
Yes.
And of course, we've got this big grant because it wasn't cheap, this boat.
No,
we got this big grant and just about enough money to pay the crew for a year or so.
Yes.
So we've now got to start making the money for the thing to be viable. But there's been a very good uptake of it. Yeah. We're just sorry that the tide wasn't right for you to come across this way.
Just mistimed it by a day, really, because it's 17:05 this afternoon, and then it's 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. If it had been the other way around, it would have been perfect.
Yes. Well, it's a combination of tides and light which affected the timing.
Yes. I mean, I don't know whether you're aware that you're actually on the national coast path here.
Oh, yes, we are very much aware of that.
Yes.
And Carmarthenshire hasn't made as much as other counties out of their coastal path.
Yes.
We're not done so well with tourism. We're now hoping that with the ferry, this will make
This could be the first step. Yes.
Yes. Well, this will make the coastal path much more accessible.
Yes.
Because at the moment, people are going to have to walk until we got the ferry. People had to walk up to Carmarthen and back out again.
Well, that's exactly what I'm doing now. That's. I mean, I expected that, and it came as a bit of a surprise for me. obviously I planned 2 or 3 days ahead, and having finished the Pembroke Coastal Walk at Amroth, I walked up to St Clears, and I was thinking, well, from St Clears to the logistics get very difficult with the way I'm doing it, because I've got my camper van.
Yes.
So
yes.
what I've done now is I've
Yes.
taken my camper van down to Gowerton, where I put it on a site for 3 or 4 days.
Yes.
So that then I can do the Gower Peninsula from there.
Yes.
And it's a beautiful campsite, and it's got hookup, and it's at the right time of year, because
Yes.
this high pressure weather,
Yeah.
where it's sort of hot during the day, it's very cold during the night, and so it's worked very much in my favour. But I just thought, well, this would be a really good experience to use this ferry.
Yes, and when you're going back to Cowtown now,
Yes.
so you can't do it the other way round either.
It wouldn't be
catch the
practical to
train.
do it the other way.
Because they're quite frequent trains
Yes.
passing through Ferryside.
It's a very good train service, and obviously from Gowerton all the way up to Carmarthen, I can use the train. I can use the railway track instead of using the bus, because I don't know whether you're aware of this, but the bus from Gowertown to Carmarthen takes 2.5 hours.
Oh, I should imagine so.
But the
It
train
stops
takes about 20
yes,
minutes.
Yes,
You know,
yes, yes.
And so,
Yes.
for me, the
Yeah.
logistics become more difficult, and I always try and
Yes.
time things right.
Yes.
Like this morning, I was on the railway station to catch the 7:05 train, and it was half an hour late. So I was
Yes.
very lucky to get this connecting bus in Carmarthen, really. I only just made it.
Yes.
Otherwise, the next bus is 11 o'clock, and so you've got these.
Yes.
This
Oh,
is
yes.
the problems that come with the walk like this.
Oh, quite, of course, yes.
But nevertheless, it's very interesting, and I meet very interesting people like yourself, and new situations that I never thought I'd come across.
Right.
And that's been like it all the way on this walk.
Yes.
But it's been
Well,
an absolute pleasure.
I'm sorry you haven't been able to use the ferry either way, because she is running.
But anyway, look, it's been absolutely wonderful talking to you, and thanks for all that wonderful information. I would never have known anything about this, and this is one of the exciting parts about this walk. You've got no idea what's around the next corner and who you're going to meet and what you're going to learn, and that's, I've learned so much on this trip.
Well, we call Llansteffan the hidden gem.
Yes, well, that's very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed
Okay.
for your time. It's
Right
been
then.
an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. 11:45 now, and I'm about maybe 2-3 miles away from Carmarthen now. As you can see, there's been an awful lot of road walking this morning, which is what I expected, and I haven't really had many shots at all of the River Towie, which leads up to Carmarthen, which I'm walking along the west bank to. It's unfortunate really, but you know, these things happen. The problem with walking on roads is one looks exactly the same as the other, and you could be anywhere in the UK at all. But it's not often that this happens, even though I do get frustrated at having to walk so far inland on these estuaries. It does remind me of when I was in Cumbria, where walking across Morecambe Bay, and I had bad memories of that. And you might be wondering why I started in Llansteffan. Well, I did walk from Amroth to St Clear, and I wasn't actually that far away, but because I walked onto St Clear, which is where the van was parked, that more or less made up the same difference in terms of the amount of walking I would have done to get to Llansteffan. So it might be maybe a mile or two short, but I'm not actually cheating myself, but I wouldn't have been too far off. My plan is, when I get to Carmarthen, is just to do a small amount of film work. I'm dying for a cup of tea and something to eat, and I'll probably have an hour off in Carmarthen, and then I'll see about whether I'm actually going to walk down the east bank, heading back, walking more or less alongside the railway line, and I'll see how I feel, and I'll see how far I've got to walk. The day itself is the sun is only just really poking through. It's not cold, it's around about sort of 15-16 degrees, and the forecast checked again on the BBC this morning is being extended, where we're going to get an even longer spell than I expected, which is good news. And when I get this part of the walk out of the way, the Towie estuary, then I'm going to be on to Mumble's Head, and I'll be back onto some more rugged walking, and with a bit more scenery to show you. But it's doing okay, I'm doing fine. I've just boarded the 303 train here at Carmarthen and heading back to Gowerton. It was a nice walk in that my legs feel a lot better today. I walked quite fast actually, and my thighs, I can feel my thighs a bit, but that's a good thing. I was a bit stiff on Monday, as you remember, and after that long delay. And today wasn't much to see really, apart from Llansteffan at the very beginning of the walk, and met some nice people. But I didn't see one other walker on the whole coastal path, and a lot of road walking as well, and which I don't mind at this stage. At least you can walk fast and get yourself fit again, because I think that 6 days off probably made quite a difference to my fitness. Tomorrow I'm going to be back on this train, probably the same one in the morning, the 7:05. Hopefully it won't be half an hour late like it was this morning, and I'll be coming up here to Ferry Town, which is where I wanted to get the ferry across from Llansteffan, but the tide was wrong. So just one more thing I'd like to say. I know everybody on YouTube watches this, and even on Facebook obviously watching the same thing, but I've had quite a big influx of new friends on the Jim's Coastal Path walk on Facebook in this last week. It's now over 300 since I started, and I've got 300 followers, and my my YouTube figures have shot up this month. I got 6,000 views last month. That was in August, and in September I've got 14,000, so I'm quite pleased about that. And but I'd just like to say welcome to anybody who's just started watching this series, and especially to the new people who have joined me, and feel free to communicate, comment, become a friend, and you must remember I spend an awful lot of time alone, and it is really nice to be having some nice conversations with, well, written conversations with lots of people, and most of my Facebook friends I've actually met on the coastal path, which is really nice. And so in the last 1,500 miles, and it's very nice to have like-minded friends who do like-minded things. But anybody can talk to me about anything, and if you're looking for a 70-year-old friend who's just mad enough to walk all the way around Great Britain, I'm your man.